Empire. Were the Kansas City Chiefs exposed? What about the Cowboys? And is there any hope for the Washington Redskins? This is the Football Jones Podcast. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming back for another episode of the Football Jones Podcast. I am Mike Jones. You can read me at usatoday.com. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @ByMikeJones. We're going to get into a lot today. I've got my buddy Terez Paylor from Yahoo Sports. We're going to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs as they try to bounce back from their first loss of the season. We're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, who have now lost back-to-back games after looking like contenders as they open the year. And then we're going to talk about Dwayne Haskins and his prospects for getting on the field for the Washington Redskins. Here we go, another jam-packed episode of Football Jones. All right, and we're here with my good dude, Terez Paylor, senior NFL columnist for Yahoo Sports. T-Sizzle, how you doing, man?
Mike Jones, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for being on here. I appreciate your time. I know you're busy chasing stuff around the league, breaking down film and everything like that, like you always do. One of the best in the biz right here, ladies and gentlemen. And I wanted to talk to you because you know the Kansas City Chiefs better than anybody. Just like I covered the Redskins for a long time and worked to be that authority, this guy was the authority on the Chiefs. And even though he's not Kansas City-based full-time, he still is the guy you go to if you want to learn anything about the Chiefs. So, Terez, everybody saw them as potential Super Bowl contenders. They looked very human on Sunday. What did you take away from that game?
Yeah, I had a column about it. You're right. Like, I'm not focused solely on the Chiefs anymore, but I still live in Kansas City, so I still keep my eye on them pretty closely. And, to me, it was a medicine game. It's 16 games in a season. No one goes undefeated. Good teams have games they lose, and it looks ugly sometimes. And you take lessons from those games, and if you don't take your medicine, it ends up becoming terminal. That's it. So major things that the Chiefs probably learned from that game. There's no probably about it. They learned. You got to do a better job protecting Patrick Mahomes. He's clearly hobbled. His ankle's acting up because a player got pushed into it. And with him unable to do the Houdini act, the pass protection has to be better. And if you can't do that, you got to use more tight ends. Whatever it takes, but him getting hit 8 times can't happen again. Okay?
Yeah.
The run defense is bad. Teams can control the game and the clock because you can't stop the run. Your gap discipline is off. Your run fits are bad. Like that kind of deal, that's got to stop. And the last thing is that this team needs Tyreek Hill, Mike. They need Tyreek Hill. Without like an established killer deep threat, teams are just playing one high man coverage and snuffing out everything underneath and daring you to throw deep. That's not something you do with Tyreek Hill on the field.
Yeah. It was interesting because for the first couple weeks, it was like, oh, wow, this offense is so great. Andy Reid is so great a play designer that it doesn't even matter. But once teams get hip to certain guys, figure out, this shows these defense coordinators are very smart. The guys who were threats, they took them away. But again, like you said, Tyreek Hill is the kind of talent that, either commands so much attention that you have to devote so many resources that it creates for somebody else, or he is just still going to just take that lid off, even if it is matched up. But the thing about Mahomes with that ankle, how concerned are you that this is going to be something that's going to hamper him for quite a while? Because when's their bye, and when's he going to get a chance to rest up a little bit?
It's not for a while. So the closest thing to a bye they've got coming is after the Broncos game on Thursday night in a couple of weeks. It's 11 days between that and the next game. Okay. So here's the problem, though, right? Like, you've got the Texans this week. That's a good football team, right? 3 days later, you go up to Denver to face a Denver team that hates you and has been embarrassed by Mahomes every time he's faced them. Then you got the 11-day break. Great. But, like, the stretch after that is, like, loaded with teams that are going to run the ball and pound you. Yeah. It's the Packers. It's the Vikings. It's the Titans, right? So these are teams that would like nothing more than to beat up your quarterback and run the ball. So we're going to learn what this team is made of over this next 5-game stretch.
I was surprised that, I knew they had invested in their defense this offseason. I know they did some in their secondary, and they also got some guys up front, a little bit. They lost some guys. I thought that they would have been better than what they were on Sunday. I mean, they really seriously just went down there, punched them in the mouth, and played smash mouth football, and they were on skates. I was just like, okay, well, they're going to get a stop here. Or they're going to get a stop. No, like, were you surprised by that?
Unfortunately not. Not really. I mean, look, I've been covering the Chiefs since 2013, and so basically the last 3 years I've seen their season end because a team bullies them up and down the field with the run game, or at least the Steelers did it to them, the Titans did it to them, and the Patriots did it to them. So we've seen it for the last 3 years. There's a new defensive coordinator now. They added in some players that I thought would help change the equation, and Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu, and Matthew's been great. Like, he's
Right.
a lot of fun to watch. But look, if the gap discipline and run fits and physicality at the point don't get better, or they don't add like a corner that will allow them to bring an extra guy into the box and change the numbers equation, like, it's going to be like this all year. They need internal improvement, but like another big name in the secondary, a corner that can wipe out a guy would also help in this regard as well.
But the hope for winning in the trenches, so basically they are what they are there, huh?
In the sense that, like, as the season goes on, like, I'm never going to say, like, a team is who they're going to be. A team's never who they are in September that they're going to be in December. Like, teams grow, teams change, but and teams get better. Look, this is Steve Spagnuolo. He's had 5 games under his belt with this defense. So, like, I'm sure they'll be better by the end of the year unless injuries hit. But at some point the onus is on these players to, like, make the adjustment. Like, you can't drill this anymore in practice. Like, back in the day, Mike used to be like, all right, 4-hour practice on Thursday, put your pads on.
Right.
Until you guys get these run fits down, we just go keep doing it and keep hitting, and we might lose on Sunday, but at least I know in 2 weeks you'll have it. Can't do that anymore. You got limited time you can work with guys on stuff like this. So, yeah, Mike, I don't know, man. It's a deal where it's up to these players to individually get better at this. But when you watch other teams like the Bills and the physicality they play with and the decisiveness their linebackers specifically play with while attacking downfield and downhill, you don't see that in the Chiefs. They're too indecisive. They miss they have to get better there, period.
Yeah. Because this is a copycat league. So now the blueprint is there. Rough up Mahomes and pound the football. And you know that the Patriots will be able to do that. The Chargers are another team that can run the ball pretty well. Obviously they're not as physical as the Colts are there. But if you're thinking about teams they're going to face, I'm not saying I'm worried. I'm not panicked or whatever. But they definitely expose stuff.
Yeah. No, they did, Mike. No, and listen, the Patriots laid out the groundwork in the AFC Championship game. And the Lions actually were the team that really kind of – because the Chiefs were rolling pretty good here until they faced the Lions of all teams a couple weeks ago. Matt Patricia's a good defensive coach. Like, he laid it out. He's like, oh, they have a hard time connecting on contested downfield balls without Tyreek Hill. Okay, one high, press man coverage. We're going to snuff all that out. We're going to try to snuff out your run game too. If you can beat us downfield. Good luck. Now, the good news for the Chiefs is that at some point I do think that they'll have that other element outside of Tyreek Hill, because McCole Hardman is very fast, and he looks like a college-age Jeremy Maclin. But the thing is, like, in the Chiefs' offense, to connect downfield, Mike, receivers got to be able to make side adjustments consistently. And that's something he's still adjusting to. And him and Mahomes are getting on the same page. When those two get on the same page, that'll give them an alternative to just, hoping that Tyreek gets back out there.
Gotcha. They still don't have a guy. They're still missing Hunt, aren't they? I mean, I know they got McCoy. I know they got Williams, but that's an element from this offense that's still – I know they got to the AFC Championship game without him, but if they had that guy at running back as well, I feel like they'd just be that much more potent.
Yeah, we can't, forget what we were talking about regarding this team last year at this time. Like, we were mentioning the greatest show on turf, and it was real, right? There was no answers. Like, their number 3 option was Travis Kelce, or, their number 4 option was Sammy Watkins. Like, there was no resolution. But there's no doubt that while Damian Williams and Shady McCoy are good football players, and in his prime, young Kareem Hunt, who is as adept at making opposing men miss as any running back in the league, was a better weapon. That's hard to replace. You can't just find that. As good as Shady is, and you see, Shady still has some juice. And Damian Williams is a solid football player too, but this offense definitely had like the extra level when all those guys were here last year. And I'm sure this offseason, they will try to find that like home run type guy that can kind of give them what they had in 2017.
Gotcha. So, okay, what are you expecting to see from Andy Reid? What changes, adjustments? What is he going to do to help protect his quarterback for the time being until he gets right?
I think it depends on how healthy Mahomes is, because the offense can be as open as Andy wants it to be if Mahomes is agile enough to evade rushers, because he's the ultimate eraser. Like when Mahomes is 100%, your offensive line kind of doesn't matter because he'll run away from guys with the Houdini act and make throws he shouldn't be able to make. But if he's more stationary, right, I think that the offense has to become a little bit more ground-centered a little bit, or at least use heavier personnel. A couple tight ends, a fullback, a tight end, try to establish the run, at least let those guys up front establish their will, kind of get their shots in too, because that gives linemen confidence, that. And if you can establish the run, that gives you an opportunity to not only just get those edge rushers, stop them from pinning their ears back, it also allows you to work play action off of it. So that's what I would expect. If Mahomes is not as agile as he typically is and the ankle's really bothering him. But this is a game the Chiefs should probably try to win like in a major way. At the end of the day, the Texans might win their division. This could end up deciding home field advantage, for the second seed or the first. So please know Houston's coming in here, okay? Yeah. Houston's coming in here ready to go. Bill O'Brien sees this as a game where he can shove it down people's throats. He can say everybody who mocked the Jadeveon Clowney trade, the Laramie Tunsil trade, he wins this game. No one remembers that. And then Deshaun Watson can show, hey, same draft class as Mahomes. I'm as good as Mahomes. So they will get the Texans' best shot.
Gotcha. Okay, so you mentioned the Texans win their division. I feel like the Colts are for real.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's going to be a dogfight between those two teams there. I do believe that Deshaun Watson's got more of that difference-making stuff on him than Jacoby Brissett does. But I feel like, playoff football, that's the kind of physicality that you want to see from the Colts.
Yes. I think they've got one of the best young defensive coordinators in football in Matt Eberflus. And Frank Reich is a really, really, really good offensive coach. And I think the thing that stood out to me, Mike, was that, he blew it in January because in the divisional round, the game plan to beat the Chiefs was to come in here and run the football. And they didn't try to do that early. And they got down early and it was too late. So he was like, okay, I learned my lesson. Here we go. Quentin Nelson, have a cigarette after this game. He did. Yes. I think that Brissett's a guy, I had a chance to visit them during training camp. That's a guy that they believe players rally behind and rally around. Yeah. And I think Frank's done a really good job scheming up what he does well. And also just letting that young, big, strong offensive line eat. So you're right. I thought before the season when the Andrew Luck thing happened, I said, don't count out the Colts. This is a team that's going to be competitive. Brissett's a little more than functional, right? He can make some throws. So this is a team that will beat you if you don't come to play. And I figured they would finish with 8 wins or something like that. And I'm still kind of around that. I think this is a 7 to 9 win team, but that's better than people think.
Gotcha. I think I've got them at 9. 9 and 7 sounds about right for me. But again, I don't know if I want to face them in the playoffs. They're going to be, when it's cold and, it might be a little wet, that's the team that's gonna really dig in at you. Another team that I really want to know what you have to say about them is the Cowboys, because everybody, I mean, I have them just narrowly missing the playoffs before in my preseason picks. But after the first 3 weeks of the season, everybody was like really sweating them. So what did you think after seeing them, the way they played against, two teams back-to-back weeks that are legit playoff teams?
I think Kellen Moore is learning how to script early. Right? I think he's still a good offensive coordinator, but guys like that, they started slow the last 2 weeks. And I don't think it's a coincidence. It's against two defenses that have shown to be pretty good. Like, I don't know how much you watched of the Packers this year, Mike, but the Packers, the Smith brothers, these guys are terrible. These guys will beat you up, and then their secondary takes the ball away. Like, the Packers are coming to Kansas City in 3 weeks. So, that's going to be a game, right? But anyway, yeah, man, so their offense concerns me. But also, even though their run defense ranks 13th in the league, I actually led my things I noticed column with this. Their tendency to over-pursue in the run game is something teams are going to see from that game and try to duplicate in the future. Okay. Aaron Jones, 100 yards or 4 touchdowns. Leighton Vander Esch is a superb player, but he was out of position a few times. You can get stuff on this front if you can get them to commit to over-pursue. And I expect teams to continue to try to do that. So I think it's really important for Dallas to kind of put the kibosh on that right now, because if they don't, that's another team where people will be able to say, okay, we might be able to get some stuff in the run game and keep the triplets off the field.
Do you think are you feeling like Dak now, like did he mess up and not signing that deal when he could have, or is he costing himself money, or do you think he's going to wind up going ahead and taking care of himself with a strong rebound?
I think that's a good question, but one lesson I've always learned covering this league as long as I have, Mike, you never, ever, ever bet against a player who's playing for money. And Dak Prescott is playing for money right now. I'm reasonably certain by the end of the year his numbers are going to be really good and Dallas has a winning record. You just don't bet against players playing for money. He will have his best career season by the end of this deal, statistically at least.
Yeah. I look at him, and I know a lot of people ask the questions, and I was asking different guys around the league what they thought. It's a couple weeks ago before he looked, pretty human on Sunday. But if you compare him and Goff, I feel like Dak is better.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when Dak was talking about saying, I deserve to be paid this way, everybody was like, oh, you're not as good as Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. But, I think that he is.
Yeah, here's the deal. You want to have a conversation about Wentz versus Prescott, we can talk about it. But I don't see Goff being in Prescott's league, because at the end of the day, Prescott makes second reaction plays. He's getting better at that. The ability to make a play happen when things break down, that matters. That's one of the reasons I like Carson Wentz. That's one of the reasons I'm in on some of these new age quarterbacks, right? The Josh Allen's, Lamar Jackson's, Kyler Murray. Hey, this is flag football now, okay? You can't hit these quarterbacks like that anymore. Can you? So can you make a play? Just like we're on the concrete. Can you make a play? And Dak Prescott's shown an improved ability to do that. So, I'm with you, man. I don't think Goff's in his league, and I definitely think Dak should push to get paid more than those two, because that's business. That's the NFL. And what's Dallas going to do? What are they going to do if they don't pay Dak Prescott? What is the alternative there? You go back to the QB wasteland? I don't know what the alternative is. Yeah. You better make it work.
Yeah, I feel like, man, if Dak Prescott had Sean McVay as his offensive coordinator, oh my goodness, because every time that Jared Goff makes a great play, it's when he's able to go to his first thing, the thing that Sean McVay screams into his mic before the sound cuts out. But Dak has got the ability. And so maybe Kellen Moore will wind up being that offensive mind that he needs. But I think up to this date, he has not had that type of offensive mind to equip him.
Let's just say that Kellen Moore, even after the last 2 games, has made Scott Linehan look really bad.
Yep.
Linehan's off. It just, even with the struggles. I mean, they lost last week. They still put up 536 yards. So, at least the Dallas's offense looks modern now, which is nice. That's a good thing. You got all this talent. Let's use it. It's a long season. This is just week 6 coming in here. We're not even halfway through this deal yet.
Yeah. And I know you always, this is a big X and O guys here, right here. So if you guys are big into that, Terez is your guy. So tell me what you like about Kellen Moore's concepts and the way he draws up plays.
The main thing is that they're not afraid to push the ball downfield. And like the best part about it is that you notice that when like a lot of times, especially after the game starts, like a lot of times the first thing that's been schemed up is open, which is a pretty good sign for your offensive coordinator. I appreciate that. I like the way they've tried to use Michael Gallup. It just feels like it's a more varied scheme. They use Boise concepts, and you know what? Whatever the situation is, the fact that you see Dak Prescott making more second reaction plays freely is a huge net win, because it wasn't something I think you could say he did particularly well all season last year. You saw it in flashes, but you're seeing even more of it now, which I can definitely appreciate.
You know, lastly, I know you wrote about the Redskins this week. I saw your column Monday about that. We all waited on that. Man, just
waited or ripped. You took shots at.
I mean, you just got to call it. Yeah, you call it as it is. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. Like, at the end of the day, everybody knows what's wrong there. So until they hire a legit football guy and they just give it to him and let him, like, do his job without interference, like, for good. But you got to hire the right guy to do that,
right,
with the right coach. You're just going to get more of the same. And it's a shame, because Washington fans really care about their team. Like, they love that team. And that used to be a team I grew up in Detroit. Like, I used to wish the Lions were as good as Washington, were as respected as an organization. And now, look, if I were a Lions fan, I wouldn't trade places with Washington. I wouldn't do that.
No. I know you were there in training camp. You got to see some of Dwayne Haskins as he was still learning. Obviously, he's going to be learning for a while there. But what do you make of this notion, this narrative that's come out the last few weeks that he's not NFL ready? There was reports he's struggling to call plays in the huddle, struggling to read defenses. I've heard that, yes, he has a lot to learn, but that it's not as bad as that. What are you hearing?
I think, like, when I was there, one thing that I've always heard about Jay Gruden is that there is a lot of verbiage in that playbook, not unlike Andy Reid's. And for that reason, it's also why Patrick Mahomes didn't play to the end of his rookie year. So, like, that wouldn't surprise me if, like, the verbiage is, like, for real there, right? But, this whole, like, it might take 2-year thing, like, really? Like, that's insane. Like, no. And it's also one thing if he was the guy from day one and he would have gotten those reps. I just don't think it's fair to criticize him about this when as far as at the end of the day, in today's NFL, the backup quarterback's not getting reps in practice during the week because you only get so many reps. So you have to give those reps to the starter. So guess what? It's kind of hard to expect him to have a verbiage-heavy playbook down in, 1 month into the season? Right. That's crazy. It's really unfair. It's okay if you have that expectation if he was a starter since day one,
right?
But he wasn't. And it was never going to happen because Jay Gruden had no interest in curtailing the playbook for him at all. So, I think at the end of the day, what they do going forward this year does need to be about finding out what Haskins can do. But I hope, like, whoever's in charge there, as far as calling plays and curtailing this offense to him and, like, cultivating it to him at some point, that they really, like, do that. Like, give the guy a shot. Because I would hate to see a talent like this be ruined by his circumstances and situation.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. And I think Bill Callahan probably has got it right. Bill Callahan said, look, we've got to get him a package of plays that he's comfortable with. I know there are challenges with that. Maybe you take a few snaps away from your starters, but I don't think that was being done. And also Callahan's philosophy of run the football. You got a young quarterback, run the ball. You got the play action to help out. This kid does understand. He ran a very pass-heavy offense in college, and I know the college game is so much different than the NFL and the defenses and everything, but I feel like if they go into this with the mindset of, you know what, we're going to give him a set of plays, just like the Ravens did last year with Lamar Jackson. Yes,
Yeah.
he's limited, but there's ways that you can help him succeed right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, you could go into any game with a scheme that benefits your quarterback. What I'd really like to see, because I loved Haskins coming out. Listen, I grew up in Detroit, okay? I saw him against Michigan, okay? You throw 50 touchdowns for Ohio State, you can throw the football, okay? You can do that. I hope that whoever is the long-term play caller there, whoever they decide to marry with Dwayne Haskins, is someone who believes in his talent and is someone who is willing to custom fit the scheme to the things he does well, just like the Baltimore Ravens have done with Lamar Jackson. Show you have faith in the guy, build the scheme around him. But at this point, any evaluation on a meaningful scale of Dwayne Haskins is patently unfair because they have done nothing to cultivate the scheme to what he does best, which is insane.
Right. I agree with you. And so that's why I feel like, you know what, after you get through this game, you get, your first week right here, get out the way with, the Dolphins. And then I think you really got to turn it over to him. I know they've got tough stretch coming up. They got the 49ers, they got the Vikings, but you got to get the kid on the field. Whether it's limited, find the plays that you run best and roll with them and then just see how it goes from there.
One thing I like about him in that potentially, one thing I think will help him is that Haskins does carry himself with a lot of confidence. Like, he's not gonna ever act like he's overwhelmed by it. He, even when I was out there practicing in camp, I'm like, yeah, that guy carries himself like he know that he good, and like that's important. Like his teammates do like that. Like, his teammates get it. You better fake it if you don't have it. But I actually think he does have it. So I don't think that he's going to be a guy where it's just like overwhelming for him. Like, he knows he's good. He believes in himself. Even when things go poorly, I don't think that's something that'll leave him. So this is going to be a long year in Washington, like no matter what. They better find out what they've got with the quarterback, what they need to do with the quarterback, and then this offseason set about hiring some people that can get the most out of that quarterback.
I agree with you. Well, T-Sizzle, thank you so much for your time. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Find me on Twitter at Terez Paylor. You can find me on yahoosports.com. Just type in my name, Terez. And also the Yahoo Sports NFL podcast, man. Me and Charles Robinson, we get after it about the league, man. So it's a good time, and appreciate you guys following me. And I appreciate you, Mike. You've been doing a great job, brother.
I appreciate it. And your podcast comes out twice a week, right?
Yeah, we do Sunday nights and then the midweek joint.
Okay, good deal. Another one. So I know a lot of football fans, your appetite is just, you can't satisfy it, can't get enough. Terez is a guy to consume, whether it's listening, reading. And, hey, don't you have a radio show down there too? Is that online at all?
It is online, yeah. Yeah, the Terez Paylor Show on 610 Sports in Kansas City. 1 hour every Monday night. If you want to know what's going on with the Chiefs and you need like a 1 hour refresher, just listen to that. You can find it on iTunes. There's a podcast page for it. You just type in my name, and then it'll come up. My name, my mug is on the page, so you'll see me. Yeah, if you need to keep up with the Chiefs, and you need to listen to one thing, for 45 minutes, that'll get you covered.
Good deal. Hey, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you, Mike. Take care, man.
All right, hope you enjoyed that visit there with Terez Paylor. Again, if you're not following him already, check him out. Follow him on Instagram, Twitter. Follow his podcast, subscribe to those, and of course, read his great work on Yahoo Sports. Now we're going to get into my picks of the week. Here we go, starting it off with Thursday night game. We got the Giants at the Patriots. Don't see this one being a close one, guys. Got the Patriots winning 34-12. Players to watch: Daniel Jones. He struggled as he went against a legit
a high caliber defense last week against the Vikings, and he looked every bit of a rookie that he is, and now he's going against an even more ferocious defense in the Patriots. They have not given up a passing touchdown all year, so he's really going to have to play at a high level just to give his team a chance to avoid a vicious blowout. And it still might not be enough because he's not going to have Saquon Barkley. He's not going to have his top wide receivers because of injuries. And so a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones. Let's see how he responds. My player to watch on the Patriots side of the ball is Devin McCourty. Defensive back's got 4 interceptions, one of the league leaders. We'll see how he does going out there leading that defense. Again, I said they have not given up a passing touchdown all year long. They are just playing at a really, really high level, getting after the quarterback and forcing turnovers. Up next, I got the Panthers at the Bucks. Buccaneers, I have winning this one, 28-24. It's going to be close. The Bucks won the first one in Carolina. I think they come back home this time and pull off another one. Christian McCaffrey is my guy to watch for the Panthers. Every time he touches the ball, he's a threat to score, and he is on pace to shatter the record for yards from scrimmage. But I feel like this week, guys like Ndamukong Suh on the Bucks and their defensive front might have an answer for him. They've got the second best rushing defense in the league, and so this is going to be a real challenge. Up next, got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. I've got the Ravens winning this 30-19. A player to watch for the Bengals is going to be Joe Mixon. He's coming off one of his best rushing days for the Bengals. He's got to continue to do that to ease pressure on his quarterback. Their offense is struggling. They need balance. They need more explosiveness. But we'll see how he does here. This Ravens defense has given up some yards on the ground. And maybe this is another opportunity for Mixon to do well. It seems like he's each week gets better and better. We'll see what he's got this week. My player to watch on the other side of the ball is, of course, Lamar Jackson. I think he's going to have a field day. He's going against a defense that does awful against the run. They gave up 93 rushing yards to Kyler Murray. So Lamar Jackson's going to have the opportunity to gain yards on the ground. And also, this Bengals defense is 30th against the pass. And so I think Lamar Jackson is going to be able to go out there and really just throw at will. So don't see this one being close again. Ravens 30-19. Up next, Seahawks visiting the Browns, and I have the Seahawks winning on the road 28-21. Russell Wilson is my player to watch. He is off to an MVP caliber start. I think that he's just going to go out there again, put this team on his back, play at a high level. And on the other side of the ball, it's Baker Mayfield. He, meanwhile, is coming off one of his worst outings. There's a lot of pressure on him. He has got to get synced up with Odell Beckham Jr. For whatever reason, it's not working right now. But I still feel like, I don't think that all is lost for them. But I feel like they're going to lose again. Again, Seahawks 28-21. Up next, the Saints are on the road visiting the Jaguars. And I have the Saints winning this one here, 27-25. It's going to be a little tough. Very good defense there in Jacksonville, but I think that Teddy Bridgewater is going to, again, play at a high level. He showed us last week that he's more than a game manager. We'll see if he can continue to do that, remain undefeated as he fills in for Drew Brees. My player to watch on the other side of the ball is Gardner Minshew because, man, I keep on waiting for the magic to wear off for this kid. But he continues to play really well. He's going against a very good defense, though. And so if the music stops, this could be the week. I feel like the Saints are going to pull this one out. Up next, got the Texans visiting the Chiefs. This is going to be a really good game, I feel like. You've got the Chiefs trying to bounce back from their loss last week. The Texans are playing at a high level. My players to watch are Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. This could be a shootout here. Two of the most dynamic young quarterbacks in the league. Can't wait to watch this one here. It's going to be a fun one. But I've got the Chiefs getting back on track, winning this one narrowly 30-28. Up next, I got the Redskins and the Dolphins. And I tell you, I normally have been picking the Dolphins' opponents as my lock for the week. This week, I can't do it. I think the Dolphins actually get their first win, 18-16. I don't think this is going to be a very pretty game at all. Yes, Bill Callahan might be able to come in there and light a fire on the Redskins and as their interim head coach, but they just have so much disarray right now, and so I've got them losing once again. Bill Callahan is my Redskin to watch because he's got to figure out how to get these guys back on track, how to get them going in the same direction. There's so much division with that franchise. We'll see how he does in his first game as interim coach. Josh Rosen is my Dolphin to watch. He might have his best game so far. He's going against one of the worst passing defenses in the league. And each week it seemed like he gets a little bit better. And so he's my guy to watch. Up next, a big game for the Eagles and the Vikings. The Eagles are in Minnesota. I have them winning 28-24. My player to watch for the Vikings is Kirk Cousins. He had that game where he played very well against the Giants, but they need him to play well against contenders, and this is a good defense he's going against. So we'll see how he responds. On the Eagles side of the ball, my guy to watch is Fletcher Cox. He's been a little quiet. He's been dealing with some injuries, but I think he's close to 100% now. He has got to have a big game because the Vikings want to run the ball with Dalvin Cook to ease pressure on Kirk Cousins. But if Fletcher Cox and those guys can take away the run, puts more pressure on Cousins, and the Eagles should be okay. Up next, Falcons at Cardinals. Got the Falcons winning this one 20-18. It is two struggling teams. You understand why the Cardinals are struggling because they're young. Don't understand the Falcons. They should be way better, but I do have them getting the win here. My guy to watch for the Falcons is Matt Ryan. He's had a rough start to the year, but last week he kind of looked like himself. 300 yards, 3 touchdown passes. Did have another interception. He's had interception every single game, but I think that because he's going against another defense that is very poor against the pass, that he's going to have a good outing, and they'll wind up getting the win. Kyler Murray, he's my guy to watch for the Cardinals. I want to see how he responds, having gotten his first win. He actually has done well last week, both passing and running, and he's going against a defense that has struggled against the run, so he could have a big game again. Up next, this is the game to really watch, 49ers at the Rams. This is a divisional matchup. The 49ers are undefeated. They are facing the Rams, who are still trying to get back to the Super Bowl after losing to the Patriots. They're coming off of a loss. So we'll see how the Rams do as they try to bounce back after the loss to the Seattle Seahawks last week. I've got the Rams pulling this one out 35-33. You know that these teams are going to put up points. You got Sean McVay versus his former mentor and Kyle Shanahan. My guy to watch for the Rams is Jared Goff. He has struggled the last several weeks as teams continue to put pressure on him, and he's going against a defense that is nasty. The 49ers get after it. They force a lot of turnovers. We'll see how Goff responds, see how he does improvising, because when things break down is where he seems very pedestrian. My guy to watch for the 49ers is rookie defensive end Nick Bosa. He had a big game against the Browns the other night. He's going to be trying to get after Goff. This should be a fun one to watch, like I said. Up next, got the Titans and the Broncos. Got the Titans winning 20-18. On the road, I've got Derrick Henry being my guy to watch. For the Titans, defense for the Broncos is not very good against the run, so I think that Henry should be able to rack up a big day, ease pressure on his quarterback. Meanwhile, my guy to watch for the Broncos is Phillip Lindsay, because while the Titans' defense is good against the pass, they too have struggled against the run. This could be a real interesting running back competition face-off here between those two guys, Henry and Lindsay. Up next, I got the Cowboys at the Jets. Got the Cowboys pulling this one off 27-24, getting back in the win column after losing to Green Bay. I know some people see this as a trap game, but I don't have a lot of confidence in the Jets. Sam Darnold is back from mono, so he's my player to watch for them. But I think he's probably going to be a little rusty. I'm not Adam Gase's fan. And now he's got no excuses now. He's got his quarterback back, but I just don't have a lot of confidence that they can get this win here. My guy to watch for the Cowboys is Ezekiel Elliott. He has had 2 straight games where he has failed to rush for more than 75 yards. It was like 30-something yards one week, 65 yards the week before that. So want to see him go back to pounding the rock as they become more balanced on offense to ease pressure on Dak Prescott, who also needs to have a good game after really struggling against the Packers. But Dak is my guy. Zeke is my guy to watch for that game. Up next, got the Steelers at the Chargers. Have the Chargers winning 28-24. My player to watch is Melvin Gordon. He had a kind of a quiet outing last week. as he made his first real action of the season. We'll see how he does this week. He's going against a good defense, but they really could use a boost. And they're coming off of a loss. We'll see what Gordon does against this Steelers defense. And my Steelers to watch are the quarterbacks, Mason Rudolph and Delvin Hodges. We don't know yet if Mason Rudolph is going to be cleared to play after that concussion that knocked him out of the game and left him unconscious for a little bit. He's in concussion protocol. If he can't play, Delvin Hodges, undrafted rookie, will be the guy who is under center. So we will see how this one goes here. I have it at 28-24. It might not even be that close. And for the Monday night game, got the Lions visiting the Packers. I feel like the Packers are going to continue to roll, have them winning 31-24. Packer to watch, Aaron Jones, who is just really thriving in this offense, pounding the football, and as a pass catcher, had a monster game last week, 200 yards from scrimmage and 4 touchdowns. He's my guy to watch. And then looking at another running back, Kerryon Johnson for the Lions. He's got to have a big game because, it's hard to win a shootout with Aaron Rodgers. Matt Stafford is a good quarterback, but they want to make sure that they are balanced. We'll see how these do, but I feel like the Packers are going to win, get another divisional win, remain atop their division, 31-24. Hope you guys have a great week. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, feel like emailing me at mjones@usatoday.com. Again, read me, usatoday.com. Follow me on Twitter at @ByMikeJones, Instagram at @ByMikeJones, and we will talk to you Monday morning. Thanks a lot.